A shadow looms over Yagami and Kuwana. Japan's National Intelligence Agency, Public Security, fixes its gaze on Reiko Kusumoto of the Ministry of Health. 5 years ago, Kuwana prompted her to take revenge on Shinya Kawai for pushing her son to the brink. Secrets can only lie dormant so long, and upon their waking, chaos ensues.
You've done it again, Tsukumo. Can't believe you found it.
I figured Mitsuru Kusumoto would be in one of the better hospitals around the health ministry.
And that led you to Toto University Hospital. So Mitsuru is still lying in a coma there?
Yep. Reiko Kusumoto has been visiting her son every night for the past 13 years, even after she became vice minister. If you gentlemen want to meet her in person, that would be your best chance.
But Yagami, you seriously think you can convince Reiko Kusumoto to turn herself in?
Well, I'm gonna try at least. And if she confesses to killing Kawai, public security will run out of reasons to keep defending RK. So in theory, that should free up the police to pursue Soma about Sawa-sensei.
But Kawana-san's against that, right? Didn't he say he wouldn't let her turn herself in?
Yeah. That's why he's not in the loop on this.
So, you're just gonna show up? You do know she's probably surrounded by public security at all times, don't you?
Just means we gotta be prepared for that, like the professional detectives we are. What are you? Don't worry. I'll give it back to you after this. I'm sure it's bugged, and we wouldn't want anyone listening in now, would we?
We'll take a few laps around the block, and then drop you back off at the hospital. Sorry, but we just need a bit of your time.
Very well. Who are you people?
We're just local detectives, but Kitakata-sensei is an acquaintance of ours. All I want is the truth, in your own words, about Shinya Kawai, and how you carried out his murder.
You're mistaken. I didn't do it.
The other day you received a call from Kitakata-sensei, didn't you? He goes by the name Kawana now, and works as a handyman in Ijincho. He made that call because we needed to confirm something.
Confirm what?
Whether or not you were being watched by public security. As it turns out, you are. Your cell phone is bugged. It can even use GPS to trace who's on the other end of the line. That kind of trace is only possible with cooperation from the cellular providers. Unless you're public security, who could pull something like that off in secret. They want to hit you where you're vulnerable. And that's what you are now after Kawana. Do you understand, Kusumoto-san? Do you have any idea what these people are after? And do you mind sharing?
What they want is control of the pension fund, which is under the Health Ministry's jurisdiction.
Pension fund?
An independent agency within the ministry manages the National Pension Fund. It's taxpayer funded, and it's worth 160 trillion yen.
What?
And certain groups want to take bigger risks with that money in order to generate more profit. In other words, they want the health ministry to use taxpayer money to gamble. But if we lost the gamble, then we wouldn't be able to guarantee anything for the citizens of this country in their golden years. That's why the health ministry manages those funds conservatively, even if it means the returns are lower.
Okay. I'm starting to understand now. To be able to gamble all this taxpayer money to save the economy, they need a change of management. And here's Kusamoto-san, head of the office, and she's beyond the control of even the ministers. Her position has the power to take action, to override the way the pension fund is managed.
So that's why they wanted to find her weakness and exploit it?
Exactly. And if the 160 trillion yen gamble were to fail, they could blame the whole thing on Kusamoto-san anyway. I have to ask you about Shinya Kawai. You killed him 5 years ago. With your own hands, didn't you? I understand what your feelings must be towards Kawai, but was that really the only answer?
If you've spoken to Kitakata-sensei, then you must know about the video of how Mitsuru was treated.
I do.
Aside from Kawai, the other students pretended like nothing happened. They took no responsibility. They put on their sad faces, and they came to visit Mitsuru at the hospital. But looking back on it now, I don't think they really wanted Mitsuru to wake up. In fact, that's what they were checking on. And what did I do? I bowed my head and thanked them. It was only later that Kitakata-sensei showed me the video. That's when I knew that those kids going unpunished was wrong.
And your solution was to pull them into the quagmire? Make them accomplices in murdering Kawai? Because in my opinion, you need to turn yourself in, Kusamoto-san.
You want me to admit to manslaughter? You think I killed a real man? I say he was less than one. Shinya Kawai. He was little more than a subhuman brute. And you saw it. You saw what that brute did to my son. I hated Kitakata-sensei. He was an incompetent teacher. An idiot who turned a blind eye to Mitsuru being tortured. But that changed when he suddenly showed up 8 years later. And then he showed me that video. He said, every bully in that video, they deserved to be punished. That it was the only way to get closure.
You took him up on it? But you of all people should have known better.
True. You're right about that. I struggled with it quite a bit. It's an unconscionable act, no matter how deep your animosity runs. But Kitakata-sensei's words hung on. I couldn't get them out of my head. I saw for myself. I went to Kamurocho, where I'd heard Kawai was working, at a girls' bar. So you know, after Mitsuru jumped that day, Kawai came to me in tears to apologize. I hadn't seen him in all that time. If he'd frozen in place when he saw me, if he'd been the slightest bit apologetic, I might have been able to stay my hand.
I take it he didn't do any of that.
Right. He didn't even recognize my face. And that's hardly the worst part of it, actually. When he saw me, he took me for some bawdy cougar on the prowl for young men. If you've got the cash, I'll show you a good time, he said. All those tears he'd shed years earlier were a farce. But I knew that. Deep down, I'd already known that. That was it. That was the moment I lost all doubt about killing him. And as for those other kids who bullied Mitsuru, they should thank me they didn't share his fate. But that's why. That's why I don't feel like I have any sins to atone for. Every night I pray he will wake up. What more can you ask me to endure?
Kawana said something similar. But you think you can repeat all that? This time say it to her.
Isn't that... Sawa-san?
You and Koana can congratulate yourselves. You got vengeance on a monster. But what you're choosing not to see is that your actions had consequences for her. It's vicious. I've seen this before. Justice for one at the cost of another. Someone innocent always pays the price. I won't just sit here and watch as history tries to repeat itself. This phone isn't being traced by anyone. So, if you have a change of heart, just give me a call before you turn yourself in. That's all I had to say. We're back. I just came from seeing Reiko Kusumoto. I told her to turn herself in for murdering Kawai 5 years ago.
There's no evidence that she killed Kawai. He simply vanished from Kamurocho, and the police didn't even know about it. Besides, there's no case without a corpse. Point being, she'll never be charged. Even if she did turn herself in, the police wouldn't know what to do with her.
Don't think for a second that you're getting a pass here. You've killed, what, 7 people now? Do you even hesitate anymore?
You got proof? Running around making baseless accusations. You sure you were a real fucking lawyer?
My colleagues in Kamurocho are getting ready to appeal Ahara's case. Your actions are going to be put under a microscope.
I wouldn't even call that bad news. I want the world to know their bullies are getting what they're due. And by then, I'll probably be going by a different name, maybe even a different look.
You're just gonna keep doing this? Did Sawa-sensei sacrifice mean nothing to you?
Is that the only thing keeping you around? Truth be told, I don't think exposing everything is even in Sawa's best interest.
What?
Sawa-kun herself felt guilty. I just sent you the proof. After Ahara-san lost in court, she called me. I recorded our conversation.
Toshiro-kun came running to the roof. His face was pretty swollen. And a few minutes later, a student named Mikoshiba came up looking for him. I'll never forget the fear I saw in Toshiro-kun's face. He told me about everything. The teasing, the beatings, the theft. How nobody was on his side. And yet, I had to deny all this in front of an entire courtroom. They said there was no hope, that I was the only witness with no proof whatsoever. Believe me, I never wanted to do that.
Sawa-kun's testimony in court was false, and she was racked with guilt over it.
And your first thought was to record it? When she was at her most vulnerable?
Yes. And then I played it for Ahara-san. He had the right to know the real reason his son killed himself.
All you did was light the fires of vengeance in Ahara's heart because you didn't want to be alone.
If it means I can prevent another Mitsuru Kusumoto, yes, I will keep killing. These bastards who prey on the defenseless must be punished for all to see. I wish the law would do its job. Because deep down, I don't want to do any of this.
I understand what you're saying, but you're taking it too far. Just stop, Koana.
If you really want to stop me, you're gonna have to kill me. And call it justice.
Hello?
It's Shirosaki. Are you in Yokohama again, Yagami-san?
Yeah. Is this about Ahara's trial?
Yes, regarding the appeal. The prosecution says they want to consult with us. off the record.
Off the record? What do you mean?
They want to discuss with the judge beforehand whether or not Ihara's murder footage is admissible evidence. The video has gone viral, of course, and nobody's really sure how to handle it.
Is the prosecution really going to hold the line on it being a deepfake?
That's quite possible. Which is why we're meeting today in the courthouse conference room. I'm sorry for the short notice, but could you join us?
Of course. I'll be there.
So what you're saying is, Yui Mamiya was not a victim of sexual battery, but rather she conspired with Akihiro Ehara to fake a murder alibi. We've already closed the book on that ordeal, yet now the defense wants to write a sequel?
To establish the defendant's motive in the harassment, we need to bring the Mikoshiba murder to light. The groping itself was staged. It was all part of their script, right down to the guilty verdict.
It sounds like the defendant has some strong hostility for the court.
Ihara got the court to accept his murder alibi by twisting the legal process to his own ends. It was easy to miss, because at the time, Mikoshiba's body hadn't been found yet. But we have to admit that we all got duped.
Can we confirm the defendant himself has agreed to the appeal?
Yes.
But if Ehara really committed the murder, why would he agree to his alibi being scrutinized?
Ihara's objective isn't to get away with murder.
Then what is he after?
Making a mockery of the legal system.
Sorry I'm a bit late.
Can we have your name, please?
The name is Bando.
And your title?
Think of me as a kind of police coordinator. But don't let me interrupt the proceedings. Forget I'm even here. Please, continue.
So much for this meeting being off the record.
Allow me to restate the prosecution's opinion to the judge. We cannot allow the murder footage to be used as new evidence in Akihiro Ehara's appeal. It's nothing but an online hoax of unknown origin. We can't just casually introduce that into court.
Indeed.
Furthermore, if Ehara bears such hostility towards the court, the footage might end up being a trap.
Trap?
Yes. What if the next viral video proves the original footage was doctored? What if the proceedings have already begun by then? Do we drop the appeal and call it a day? We cannot allow a man like Ehara to swing the court around by its nose at his whims. With that in mind, I believe Ehara's conviction should be upheld and enforced.
Ehara's guilty verdict was wrong. We don't think there was enough evidence at the first trial to result in that verdict.
There was fiber from the victim's underwear found on Ehara's hand.
That was a trick. It was set up with cooperation from the victim.
There is no evidence it was a trick. Are you saying Yui Mamiya and Ehara met beforehand? Is there proof of that? Was there perhaps any security footage we didn't see?
No, the station erases the footage from their cameras after a few days if there's no need to keep it.
Right. But if there's even a chance Ehara and Mamiya were a team, the underwear fiber proves nothing. What were the other deciding factors? Security footage? The smartphone videos we kept seeing on TV? Those don't prove the crime either, because there was a huge time gap in them.
What?
Did you walk around the site with your own 2 feet, prosecutor?
Well, no. But I have been to Shinjuku Station plenty of times.
Then you must know they have a mountain of security cameras covering every angle. But if you went there to look carefully, you'd find there are some blind spots. That's Ehara running, while Mamiya chases after him. It seems as though the whole chase is recorded, but this area in dotted lines is a blind spot no camera saw. That's the momentary gap in time where Ehara and his double switched places.
The victim was running right behind Ehara. She would have noticed if they swapped places, right in front of her eyes.
Oh, but she knew about the swap all along. They were all in on it from the start.
Can you prove that?
We don't have to prove the defendant is innocent, Takara-san.
What?
All we have to prove is that the evidence provided by the prosecution at the trial was insufficient to determine guilt. Because that's the role of the defense counsel.
Indeed it is.
If the prosecution can't debunk any and all possibility that the train groping was a put-up job, then it's innocent until proven guilty.
Then the defense should have brought it up the first time. Although I doubt Shirosaki-sensei actually believed in the defendant's innocence herself.
The guilty verdict at the trial was orchestrated by the defendant. It was our error not to have seen it at the time, but it would be another not to correct ourselves now.
I do believe this case is worth a trial in the appeal court. If the court was misled by a hostile defendant, then only the court can correct it.
Thank you very much.
However, I too have seen Ihara-san's murder footage. I believe it would be difficult to introduce it as evidence in this trial. Therefore, I cannot allow it to be brought into the courtroom at this time.
Bando-san, was it? From public security?
I don't recall saying my department. But yeah, that's right.
Ihara's trial can't be that important to you. So I have to figure I'm the reason you showed up.
Kuwana, otherwise known as Yu Kitakata, is wanted on suspicion of murder. If you know where he is, please do tell.
Wanted for murder? Huh. Because you know, I thought it was RK acting on your orders that killed Sawa-sensei. You think you can hide that fact forever? Even the cops in the field have their suspicions.
Do they? Well, the cubicle workers always resent the corner offices. Officers in the field complain about their superiors. I did the same thing back in my day.
Then why did you use thugs as your pawns instead of officers? Is that how Sawa-sensei got roped into this?
I'm afraid I'm not following.
You knew it was going to be a dirty job from the beginning. That's why you couldn't use anybody on the force. Or maybe you just weren't able to find an underling you could fully trust.
That's a good one.
Public security's only tricks are surveillance and call tracing. You leave the dirty work to the thugs.
That may be true, but it's enough to crush the likes of you.
I'm gonna ask just in case. Where is Soma now?
Hand over Kuwana to me and there will be no more victims.
What?
Do you have a reason to protect him? I already know he's going around executing bullies. He's a disturbance to public order.
But he wasn't the one who killed Sawa-sensei.
I didn't come here to argue. I came to issue an ultimatum.
Well, I'm not sure if you're aware, Yagami-san, but RK owns some of the cabaret clubs in Kamurocho, and Akutsu manages them. If a girl makes a lot of sales, or if she becomes a rising star in the club, Akutsu apparently gives that girl a bonus, personally.
Hey, I'm not even mad. In fact, I'm up for the challenge.
Akutsu-san wants to meet you and show his appreciation by giving you the bonus himself. There's already a taxi waiting outside.
I think he's driving to the Thug Hangout, the underground club. That's where I met Soma for the first time. I thought it had been shut down, but maybe they opened it back up.
We'll be arriving soon. Well, on to the moment of truth. Your bonus. 1 million yen. Quite a stack of cash for an office worker. Yeah.
It's a big pile of money for anyone.
Oh, even for lawyers? Shirosaki-sensei?
I'm not sure I follow.
This lady lawyer came poking around before. Except she was trying to find out about Kauai at the time.
You see, when it comes to Kamurocho, we have eyes everywhere. Anybody suspicious gets reported to us fast. Most of the eyes working for me or Soma are spies in the police force. And now, we've got a law lady in the bag. So, what do you want with me? Who sent you here, huh? What the?
Man, you were harder to find than I thought, Akatsu.
The only guy I really want to fuck up is Soma. But I guess I'll have to settle for you losers tonight. Here we go!
You can't run anymore, Akatsu. Can we talk now? Where's Soma? Where's he hiding?
I don't know. He moves around more than I do.
Really? Are you really just another one of his pawns? Just gonna cover for him and obey his every word?
Soma can tell when someone's lying. He's always been able to. He can practically see the future. He was the first to bail from the Tojo clan. Then he had the balls to give me advice. Said I should get out too and not worry about it.
What did he mean by that?
By that point, the Tojo clan didn't have the resources to properly deal with defectors. Soma understood that. And sure enough, he left without a word, and nobody ever tried to fuck with him.
It's true. Soma was the first guy to slip out. No doubt the dude knew what was up.
While the Tojo clan was limping to its grave, Soma went underground and built the arcade network all by himself.
And that's how you became his errand boy.
What do you expect? I can't control Soma. I'm just the public face of RK. He holds the reins.
Akatsu, Soma's being used by public security. Did you know that?
Public security?
Why was Soma looking for Shinya Kawai in Kamurocho?
I don't know. All I heard was somebody hired him to do that.
Why is he after Kawana? How are Soma and public security linked? Give me something. Doesn't it at least ring a bell?
I don't know, man. The fuck you mean ring a bell? I don't know shit!
Wait. Nah. But maybe.
What is it?
Doc, is it possible that Soma himself is public security?
Soma working in public security? What do you mean?
Well, public security trains people to become spies, so they can infiltrate and collect intel. They usually try to find a weak spot in the org, someone they can turn to their side. But sometimes a cop who's already in public security goes undercover to infiltrate something like a Yakuza organization. What you get is a Yakuza who knows everything about the police, and would be super good at sniffing out liars.
You're saying Soma is actually an undercover agent?
You heard what this fool said. Soma figured out the Tojo clan didn't have a future, so he ditched them. You think some street punk's got that kind of foresight? He couldn't, unless he had intel from the law. That'd be a different beast. He'd have to know the Tojo clan and Kamurocho like the back of his hand.
Including knowing that the Tojo clan would dissolve soon.
Yep. And then after he gets out, what does he do next? He makes a place for all the Yakuza coming out of the Tojo clan to find each other, right? Where public security can easily monitor them.
Soma? An undercover public security agent? Shit. We gotta move! Cut the fucking chit-chat!
Why?
He's gotta be fucking listening in on us right now! If he's public security and heard all that...
Get your shit together, Akatsu. What does it matter?
Don't you get it? There's no way he'd want anyone else to fucking know!
Stop shooting!
Damn it. They found us.